acknowledging this concept that I'm calling pilot versus passenger. And what do I mean by that? It's this idea that we are living through some of the most chaotic, turbulent times in any of our lives. I mean, I think, and I feel very strongly about this, that most of you watching this video probably agree that we are living through more chaotic, turbulent, and worrisome times than at any point in our lifetimes. And that's part of now, I think, the collective human condition, the human consciousness. It becomes very easy when we think about these things we have no control over that are spiraling out of control to get worried and anxious about those things. In fact, the data now suggests, and you know, it's sad to hear these things, but we have to acknowledge them before we can fix them. The data suggests that entire generations of young people now face a collective sense of hopelessness and loneliness over their future job prospects, where AI is going, what's happening economically, what's happening with the climate and extreme weather events. And, you know, we're talking about hundreds of millions, if not billions of people worldwide who are sharing in this kind of collective anxiety. If we internalize anxiety like that, it is terrible for the human organism. Psychologically, emotionally, cognitively, physiologically, it leads to no good outcomes. It basically atrophies inside of us. And so we're living in times right now where we have all of these huge macro forces that we really have little to no direct control over. And so it feels terrible, like we're going down rushing rapids with no control. It feels terrible that that's the scenario, but we have to go through two fundamental steps in the process towards optimizing our own mental bandwidth and our own mindset going into the future. One is simply acknowledging that we have no control over those things. And two is accepting it. So we acknowledge it and then we accept it and we move forward. Now, I am not arguing here. Let me caveat this by saying I am not arguing for people to be apathetic politically. I'm not arguing that they should, you know, give up on how they think about how these things are going to impact their lives. But basically, once we acknowledge that there are all of these things where we are simply a passenger, we are not the pilot. No matter how much we worry about them, we're not going to change that reality. So now let's focus on what we can change, where we can be a pilot, and that is in the micro. Those are on the decisions that directly impact our lives, our families' lives, and that impact our household and our immediate community. Those are the things where we have just as much power, if not more power than ever before. For example, we can make conscious decisions about what our relationship to technology is. We can make conscious decisions about the relationship that our kids have with technology. This is where we can be pilots, and we need to reclaim that power, and we need to reclaim that mental bandwidth, and we need to reclaim that real estate in our minds. So pilot versus passenger is such a fundamental concept to how I look at the future. And it has helped me transform my own mindset in this past year to where I was putting up obstacles to doing things I should have been doing a long time ago. And it's now setting me up to do the things that I know I am meant to do and I am very excited about. I want to bring this message forward to all of you and understand that this concept of pilot versus passenger is going to come up over and over and over again in content that I and Erica are going to put out in the very near future as it relates to macro topics that we study and think about, like artificial intelligence and the future of the workforce and geopolitical turmoil, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So think about pilot versus passenger. More than anything, I'm excited to have you on this journey with me. There will be more information forthcoming. If you have any thoughts about pilot versus passenger and how it relates to your own life and your own experience, please drop them below and stay tuned for more.